Do you trust your flexible tapes? This one is new out of the box. I do not trust it, and you shouldn't trust yours either. And let me show you why. So I always calibrate my tapes against steel rulers, especially engineers' rulers. They're most likely to be accurate. So what I do, I line up the end of my tape, the true end, as out of the box. And now what I'm going to do is run it out without putting undue stretch on the tape. And you'll notice by the time we get up to the 22 through to 25, we're not accurate. In fact, I have to put a fair bit of pull on that tape to stretch the plastic or the fiberglass to get it to be accurate. And that's a problem if I'm sizing a hat block, because when I go round it and I'm trying to get the measurement, I now have to know to give it enough pull to stretch it to be accurate. Now, if I don't pull it, or don't pull it, stretch it the right amount, then my measurement is not accurate. So what I do is I cut the end off the tape, because half the time, you probably can't see it, but that little brass plate on the end is not even square to the tape. So that measurement from there down is longer than that measurement down. So they're of no real value to me in the search for accuracy. So what I do is I make a new end of my tape with some masking tape. And I'm going to slice off what I don't need. Well, that didn't cut very well, did it? So now my tape is too long. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually now going to start from this end around the 21, whoops, helps to get them lined up. So the area of a hat blocker that I'm really measuring is around the 21 to 25 mark. That's where I want my tape to be accurate. So what I'm going to do now is work my way back to where I've got my overhang, and I am going to cut that off level with the end of my ruler. So now when I measure from the end of my ruler up through to where it really matters, around the 21, 22, 23, 24 inch, I know my tape is accurate now to a steel ruler, whereas before it was almost 1/8 of an inch out, give or take. So now when I measure a block at 22.5, I know that it is 22.5. And what can happen is you can measure the block at your end with a tape and say, well, measure it and say, oh, it's 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch too big or too small. So I advise that you do the same kind of exercise with your flexible tapes. Don't trust them out of the box. They're not accurate. So this is what I've done with the tape that I use for working in inches. And I have a yellow tape that I've done exactly the same with, when I'm working in centimetres, because both sides are not the same. In fact, if I were to, I'd almost guarantee, now that I've demonstrated that this tape is accurate with inches, if I was to turn it over, I wonder if it would be accurate in centimetres when I get up around here. No, see, I'm actually, no, not stretching this tape. I'm actually about 1 millimetre over. So 1 millimetre over each one. By the time you have 3 or 4 centimetres, you could be half a centimetre out. So that's why I have one tape that is for inches and one tape that is for centimetres. And I would suggest that you do the same.